ReefDudes is sponsored by Brightwell Aquatics and Bulk Reef Supply.
Today, we're going to do an office tour. What's going on, guys? Devin from ReefDudes. Today I figured it'd be kind of fun to do a bit of an office tour. I did a little bit of revamping in here. And this used to be a cube shelf, and I built like a really awesome rainforest vivarium. And over here I got the reef tank and kind of where I do all my editing and work. So yeah, it'd be kind of fun to do a bit of an office tour, so let's get to it. It's not the biggest office in the world, but I definitely try to make the best use of space that I can. When you first walk in, you'll notice the latest project, which is the Frog Vivarium. So super fun. This used to be a cube shelf. Picked up this enclosure used off Facebook that was basically new and wanted to do a built-in look. I didn't really know where I was going to put it, and I want something that would tie in with the office. And putting the the shelving around it also cleaned up all the cube shelf and all the clutter, so definitely cleaned things up quite a bit. Now for our inhabitants, we got these super cool little dart frogs, which I absolutely love. They're super entertaining, but we'll get back to these guys in a minute. Next, coming over, we have the editing slash work slash live streaming setup. So I work from home. I do IT stuff. I'm on the computer all day, every day. So I recently upgraded to this super duper ultra wide monitor, which I absolutely love. And then last year we upgraded all the components in here. So I did do water cooling on this one for the first time ever, and super stoked because it is very, very quiet, which is a huge plus for doing live streaming and whatnot. Now, in the past, there was a few times, people used to always complain about my keyboards. Of course, upgraded to a quieter keyboard over time. Also upgraded the mic a few times to get a dynamic mic. Yeah, so overall, I've been, just slowly upgrading my setup to try and improve the quality over time. Mixer-wise, get asked about this one a lot. This is the Rodecaster, and it is a podcasting mixer. Have been dabbling with podcasting a bit. Microphone, Shure SM7B. So before, some of the other mics I had would pick up a lot of background noise, so this one's a lot better at rejecting it. That's one of the big reasons I upgraded to that one. Now camera-wise, I get asked this one quite a bit too. Live streaming camera. So usually what I do, this is a Sony a5100. You can usually find them pretty inexpensive for used ones. This is what I use for my live streaming camera. And then I also have a web camera, which I use as kind of the guest camera. That way they're not just looking at a black hole. And then recently I got another wicked deal on another a5100, so I picked that up to have a second camera angle. So it's kind of nice just to mix it up, see the tank in the background if we're doing more of like a podcasting style video. Other recent addition is I added this extra shotgun mic, which I already had, but I had some guests over for an in-person stream and the audio wasn't very good because it wasn't all going through the mixer. So I got some more XLR cables and hooked this up, so next time I have some in-person guests, it should be a lot better audio. Aside from that, we got some LED panels. These are some Amazon ones just for lighting myself up during live streams. So those work pretty well. And this is also the standing desk, so it goes up and down. It's good for you to stand up and not sit all day. And to the right, of course, we have the Lagoon Tank. Now, a couple weeks ago, I did that video on my dino treatment with essentially upping the nitrates and dosing silicates, and that worked phenomenally well. I've done absolutely nothing to it since then, and as you can see, the dinos have not returned. So it only took 4 or 5 days to beat the dinos in it, which I'm really stoked for. So overall, things are doing pretty darn good in this tank. I do have the Reef Bright strips. Since I had all the dino stuff, I unplugged them all, so I just have the radions on for now. Eventually I'll probably plug those back in, but so far it's doing quite well with just those. So once we know things are happy, we'll turn those back on. Did have the big glass whiteboard on the wall. Up here we do got the cool little ReefDudes logo. That's something I 3D printed for fun a while back. Took like, hours to print every letter, but I think it turned out pretty awesome. And this tank, I know you guys have seen it before, but taking a look underneath, over here we have the Solartronic, which is Focustronic's new light, which is lighting up this section of the sump. And I'm gonna make a little display section down here, probably sooner now that I'm finally past all the dinos and all the other stuff. But coming back down, we have the filter roller, we have the NIOS 160 skimmer, we have the nice little coral section, and here we have our dual return pumps. And my phosphates were super high, so I put on the torque reactor just to tone down the phosphates again. Dosing wise, I have this tank all done via the Alcatronic, Dosetronic, and Mastertronic. Inside the dosing bins, I have all the Brightwell, Elk, Calcium, and Mag, and these are the ones that are to up your pH and kind of keep it a bit higher, which is a bit of a bonus. And the last one, we got the Alcatronic reagent. Now these are all 10-gallon bins, so these things are gonna last me ages and ages and ages. So if I only have to refill them every like 8 months, that is pretty darn sweet. Next over, we got a custom controller cabinet. Well, this is the Adaptive Reef one, but I had the custom ReefDudes logo made, so thanks for that, Kyle. Super stoked. Recently, I upgraded my RODI, which is tucks in here, to the 200 gallon per day BRS one. Now, one of the main reasons I upgraded this guy is because I tapped into this, and this refills. There is a 10-gallon ATO container back in there, right behind the cabinet, and that gets refilled every 3 days via some automation on the GHL. And I split this off now, so this also refills the misting system for the vivarium. So that's filling 2 things at once now. That's why I decided to upgrade to the bigger unit, so it actually tops it off a lot quicker. So as we can see down below, I drilled the bottom of this tank. This is how you can tell it's a reefer setup, right? I got all the power supplies nicely mounted. I got nice acrylic dosing containers, so that's for the misting system. This one's for the drainage. So the substrate never gets too saturated, it drains out. Now on that note, up above we also have a misting system. So this mists the tank multiple times per day. And for lighting it, we have an XR30 freshwater. Now unfortunately this one has a little bit of a crack thing on it, but got a wicked deal because of that. So wicked light for it, super overkill, but super amazing. Taking a look at the top, it got these little custom vent inserts that I made. They are removable, so if I ever want to change it, it's super easy. I did put glass over most of the top of this and just put in the misting nozzles. Now this is to basically simulate rain, keep the humidity high in the enclosure. And it does it, every 4 hours or so during the day. And I also have a little tiny fan on the top that's kind of stealthy. And that's mainly to blow air upwards and create a bit of a gyre inside of it. Just a very subtle one, but that keeps the glass crystal clean. So I did post a photo of this on there, and it actually seemed like quite a bit of people are interested in it. So I'll give you guys a little bit of an overview. The tree, I actually did film a bunch of cell phone videos, so I might film it or turn to an actual video at some point. But I made the tree out of PVC, covered it in spray foam, then carved it out, and covered it in aquarium silicone, and then covered it in cocoa fiber. So it was a few different steps. Plants, I'm starting to dig the plants. Like, I basically think of them as like land coral now. Look at this guy, a little baby palm tree, super cute. Like, there's just so many cool little things. So I am digging this just as much as I'm digging reef tanks lately. It is pretty cool just to mix it up and have different little creatures. And the fact that I can have a rainforest on one side of the desk and the Lagoon Reef on the other, I think is super cool. It's like such a really cool contrast between, the different aspects and different spectrums. Coming inside, we got these super cute little dart frogs. Now these guys are Dendrobates auratus, and these guys are called Helcope. So super cool little guys. They're very active. They're tons of fun to watch. They crack me up constantly because they'll just like leap across the tank. And I put in some fruit flies the other day, and one's like all the way up here, and he leaped all the way down there just to grab a fly. Like, they constantly crack me up. So super cool little guys. Really easy pets, to be honest. The hardest part is culturing the fruit flies. You can buy them, but if you culture your own, it's super duper cheap to feed them. So of course I'm gonna do that route. It's gonna save me a lot of money long term. But yeah, overall, super cool. I'm starting to dig little mini orchids and different stuff I've been putting into here. And yeah, you can kind of see I just keep sneaking in more plants and vines. The McGravies, super cool vines. And they kind of get more orangey red as they climb up. And yeah, once this thing is absolutely covered in greenery and moss and vines, I think it's gonna look awesome. It's already pretty cool, so I'm already pretty happy with how it's turning out. And just some of the mosses and stuff, these get really cool growth patterns and formations. These guys, the bromeliads, they're a super cool plant. And this bromeliad's actually flowering now, which I think is super cool. As for the frogs, I have 6 of them in here. And yeah, so far they're good. I usually see 3 or 4 at once. That's kind of one of the reasons I added so many, is just so there'd always be some visible. I'm not gonna lie, it took me like a month to decide on which frogs to get. And a big decision, one was, you know, partially for the color, but the main reason was I wanted ones that were silent. Since I'm doing meetings and live streaming and whatnot, I didn't want a bunch of really loud frogs. So these guys are super quiet. They do well in a group, which was another key aspect. And yeah, so they're not too loud, they do well in a group, and they actually make use of all the vertical space. So they make use of my big tree that I built, which I think is super cool. So yeah, overall, I'm really digging these guys. I think they're tons of fun, lots of random character, and yeah, really cool. So I found surprisingly a number of reef keepers are like have expressed interest in dart frogs. So yeah, I might do the odd little video on them, and if you guys want to know more about it, let me know. I had a little bit of fun, create a little tiny terrarium. This is just a random for fun project one day. 3D printed this guy, this little ring, designed it, found a little wall model and turned to a circle, and 3D printed a tree, and then covered it in mosses and got a little sundew there. So yeah, super cool. Little things, little fun projects. Now back to the reef tank side of things, I've been slowly adding more coral to the tank, and so far everything's been happy. I accidentally-ish broke a chunk of my torch off yesterday, so that made it into the tank as well. Now it is probably getting a little too much flow there, so I'm probably gonna find a slightly better spot for it. But for the most part, things are doing quite well in this tank. And yeah, as time, I just keep adding more and more little test subjects in there. You know, the Ghani is nice and happy. The kryptonite bounce mushrooms, those are actually looking phenomenal in this tank. And they're very shrunken in my other tanks. I moved them in as well, so hopefully we'll get them back to their prime. Fish-wise, I do have a couple new additions. If you saw the little Tomini Tang, super cute little guy. He is constantly picking at the rock, so he's like an awesome little cleaner. I picked him up just because he stays small. He's a tiny tang, and he'll be very well suited for this tank. Of course, we got the copper band. We got two clowns that host that green singularium in the back. We got the yellow tang. Somewhere in here is a little blenny, and he's super cool too. The funny thing is he normally like hides in just one of those little tiny frag holes. So it's just a little guy, so I might actually add some more blennies. I'm not really gonna add any more big fish to this tank. I think I'm only gonna add just little fish, right? Might add a couple more blennies, some small gobies. Probably with the gobies, I'm gonna wait till I get the top on there. Top Lids is building me a custom one for it, which I'm super stoked for. And once I get that, I'll probably add some more little gobies and different little creatures where I don't have to worry as much about them jumping out. You may have noticed my lovely green wall behind me. So I used to set up a green screen every Wednesday for my live stream just to put in the backgrounds, and eventually that became a lot of work. So when I moved my office up here, I painted the whole wall green. So I have a always on green screen, which makes my workflow much easier. Down below here, we have the Mastertronic. Now I would really like to mount this somewhere and get it off of the floor here. I wish it would have fit there, but it's literally an inch too tall with these ATO bins, so I don't know if I'll fit in that crack if I put it on the back. I'm not quite sure where, but I want to find a slightly better spot for this at some point. Now, right now I have the wastewater going to this bin. Another one of my projects, I want to pipe that directly to the drain so I don't have to empty that every month, which would be nice. I already do have an RO to the drain, so we'll see if I can just split that or tap into that somehow, and might be the next future project. This little conglomeration has been all my nudie / Aptasia experiments, so probably find a bit way to clean this up. And that was just for a fun little art project the other day. We had a little art night thing, and I tried doing an acrylic pour to get like a really cool oceany vibe. And I think I might paint some cool jellyfish or something on it and probably hang that guy up somewhere over there later. So yeah, I think it'll be pretty cool. Hopefully you guys enjoyed my little office tour. If you guys have any questions, let me know in the comments below. Or if you want me to dig into anything else specifically, let me know and I'll do it on a future video. All right guys, as always, if you enjoyed it, hit that like button. If you're new, make sure you subscribe and I'll catch you guys on the next update.